Welcome to the Intuitives, Healers, and Mystics podcast. We're Gavin and Becky, your hosts and Reiki masters, where we'll uncover firebrands, take the mystery out of spiritual history, and explore ancient and healing modalities. In the end, you'll take away healing, intuitive, and mystical insights to apply for everyday enlightenment. Happy to have you here with us. We are going to be taking you on a special trip as we talk all about Halloween and traditions. We're going to be talking about one of our favorite things to talk about, which are holidays. And I know that you love Halloween and all the other holidays that go along with it.
I absolutely do. I love it.
So Halloween is really a blend of those two very, very old traditions. And we see that all throughout history where there's been a festival or a holiday, and then a conqueror comes in, or Christianity comes in, or another religion comes in, and it masks or blends the existing holiday into a new one. So we're going to dive down into some of those fun details today.
I love learning about this, but it's so interesting to see how far we've come. You know, we started off with people dressing up as witches because they wanted to scare people away. And then now you have adults that are embarrassed to dress up for Halloween when it started with adults. I mean, wow. Just wow. Again, fascinating.
Well, witches, it's so interesting with witches too. And just really briefly, I want to share two things with you. One is that the witch's hat isn't really traditionally a witch's hat. It's traditionally a brewer's hat. I believe it's from the 15th century. So women were the ale brewers. They wore those witches' hats. Well, now we know them as witches' hats, but at that time they wore brewers' hats. So that if you saw a woman in that hat, you would know that you could go and you could buy some ale from her or get some ale. So it's funny that has been taken from just brewing ale and selling ale to negative connotations associated with being a witch. And then also the black cat, which is very traditionally associated with Halloween. And I'm sure everyone listening, if not almost everyone listening, knows that black cats are associated with being witches' familiars. But what you may not know is that during the burning times when there were the witch hunts, so many black cats were killed because people were convinced that people were witches and their black cats were their familiars, that they killed so many black cats that to this day there is not one black cat that is completely a black cat. So if you see a cat that's black, look on the cat, because guaranteed there will be at least one or two whiskers or hairs that are not black. So like when we lived in Tennessee, we had a stray cat and he was so sweet. He would come to our door and he looked all black, but he had two little pieces of fur that were white. So to this day, they say that there is not a complete black cat left after all the hunting that went on during the burning times.
Okay, and I want you to think of something. A lot of times we associate witches having a black cat, and I can understand that would happen because pagans, they were probably taking those cats because they knew what was happening. So I could imagine how we got to the whole witches have black cats. Now that makes sense. Thank you.
Yeah, there were lots of weird things associated with how they figured or tried to figure out that someone was a witch, but we can talk all about that in another episode. But this is just a little, as they say, the proverbial tip of the iceberg.
Can we talk about a few matchmaking rituals for Halloween that people might not know about? Are you ready?
Absolutely. Lay it on me.
Okay, so in the 18th century in Ireland, a cook, a female, might bury her ring in mashed potatoes on Halloween night, hoping that her true love would find it.
You mean hoping her true love wouldn't choke and die on it?
Yeah, I mean, I guess that would be the start. That is insane. Okay, here's another one.
Okay.
So fortune tellers would tell eligible young women to name a hazelnut for each of her suitors and then toss the nuts into the fireplace. The nut that burned to ashes, rather than popping or exploding, so the story went, represents the girl's future husband.
Oh, wow. Well, how would you know? Like, are you marking your
Yeah, you have to
hazelnuts?
name the nuts. You put a name on each nut, I guess. Or
Oh, name. Okay. So not just going, this one's Tom, this one's Dick, this one's Harry. You're actually, you're actually writing on there. Okay.
Okay,
Gotcha.
another one is if
Uh-huh.
a woman ate a sugary concoction made of walnuts, hazelnuts, and nutmeg before Halloween night, she would
Mhm.
dream about her future husband.
Oh my gosh, Becky, I'm going to do that. I'm going to make a concoction and I'll tell you what I dream about. So we'll do it. I'll do it. I'll
Here's
test
another
it
one.
out. I'll do it. And then we'll record what happens.
I
All
love that.
right.
Okay,
Okay.
how about this one? Young women toss apple peels over their shoulders, hoping that the peels would fall on the floor in the shape of their future husband's initials.
Good luck.
And
You need a
then
lot of peels for that one, man.
and then they tried to learn about their future husbands by peering at egg yolks floating in water
Huh.
and stood in front of mirrors in darkened rooms holding candles and looking over their shoulders to see the husband's face. Oh my gosh. I'm going to make
Ooh.
some TikTok videos on this. This is fun stuff.
Yeah, that's interesting. Well, remember we had that conversation with Jaime, who does all the astral projection. And he said that when he did astral projection one night, he saw his future husband in there. So stranger things have happened.
Right? Here's a good
Mm-hmm.
one. At Halloween parties, it can get a little competitive with the witchies. The
Mm-hmm.
first guest to find a burr on the chestnut hunt would be the first to marry.
Mm.
And then sometimes it would be the first successful apple bobber would be the first to go down the aisle. Oh my goodness.
Wow. Wow. I think I was 9 years old. I caught the bouquet in a wedding. So I was the next one to get married, but I don't know if that happened.
Oh, you know what I used to do when I would see the bouquet? I would walk the opposite direction.
Isn't that funny? And you're the one that's married and I'm the one that's single. So that's really funny.
Oh yeah, I did not want to get married. I was just like, I just believed it was hopeless and it's just not, it was just something you did just to do. But fortunately, I met a great man who convinced me otherwise.
Oh, that's so sweet, Becky.
I know. Did it sound like I meant it though? Because he might hear this podcast.
Yeah,
I'm
it
just
does.
kidding.
It does. It sounded like you meant it. And I know you meant it, even if you're
I'm
joking,
just kidding.
because you say nice things about him all the time.
I'm just kidding. I do love my husband. And just a friendly reminder, I teach Reiki at holyfirehealers.com. You can go to the website to see when I have a class.
And I can be found at gavempowers.com. I'm an intuitive writer, traditionally trained. If you're interested in books, scripts, articles, or marketing, I'm your gal. Thank you for joining us at the Intuitives, Healers, and Mystics podcast, where we discover stories and practices, explore sage wisdom, and reveal century-old answers and modern sensibilities that heal and raise consciousness today. Remember to share the love. Be sure to share, like, and subscribe. We'll see you next week.